Vice President Joe Biden just a few moments ago in Ireland. Representative Steny Hoyer is a Democratic congressman from Maryland. He is a minority whip, #2 person in the House Democratic leadership. Congressman, always good to see you. Thank you for your time. Dan Bowles in the Washington Post. He draws this parallel between the Brexit vote and elections here. This is what he writes in part. Voters younger than 45 favored the Remain campaign, with the very youngest overwhelmingly in favor. Those 45 and older supported the Leave campaign. Similarly, those with a college degree supported the Remain campaign by a nearly 3-to-1 margin. Those without a degree favored the Leave campaign, though by a slimmer margin. That's very similar to the lines that divide Clinton and Trump supporters. Do you see a parallel?
I see some parallels, certainly. I was very disappointed at the vote in Great Britain. I think it is a simplistic response to what is a complicated world. But we need to work together. We need to have strong alliances. And I am hopeful that this vote will not lead to a British withdrawal or exclusion from working together cooperatively with their European allies. That's absolutely essential if we're going to have stability in the fiscal markets, and you see great instability now because the markets don't know exactly what this means, and as a result there's a retreat, which obviously undermines the marketplaces, the economies, but also politically. We need a strong alliance so that those who would threaten us from a national security standpoint and international security standpoint will understand that there is still close cooperation between a number of the great powers of the world to keep security and peace. So I think this is a disappointing step, and it would be an extraordinarily disappointing step to follow the policies proposed by Donald Trump of withdrawal and, as Vice President Biden said, building walls and not bridges. We've tried that in the past. It hasn't worked out very well, and it exacerbated worldwide recession, depression, if you will. So I hope that American people will reject a campaign based upon fear and retrenchment from engagement with the rest of the world. There is no option but to try to create and work in a positive, constructive fashion to create international security and peace, not withdraw from it, because even as big as we are, with as great an oceans between our two west and east, we cannot withdraw from the global community. Reality, we need to engage it. We need to be positive in our relationship to it. So I'm disappointed that the voters of Great Britain, by a relatively small margin, and you point out those who were most threatened by what they see as immigration or involvement with the rest of the world, with the rest of Europe. It's understandable, but I think hopefully cooler minds will prevail, and that we will continue to pursue positive policies, not negative ones.
I want to turn our attention here back home for a moment, and let's talk about the sit-in that your party held this week to try and force some sort of legislative action on gun control measures. What practical gains will you see from the sit-in? Because, as you know, Speaker Paul Ryan said on Thursday that it really only had one purpose, which was fundraising.
Yeah, that was baloney. That was not true. And it was hypocritical.
You guys didn't fundraise at all off the sit-in?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
I say both parties do that.
Okay.
Both parties appeal to their bases. Both parties appeal when they have issues that are in the public eye. They appeal to those who support those issues and say, support our party. We're pursuing interests that you share. So both parties do that. Paul Ryan knows that. I don't have a letter now or tens of letters from the Republican campaign committees, the RNC or the NRCC, but they do the same thing, and we did that. I understand that, but that was not the issue. The issue was an issue of deep importance to the American people. We have an epidemic of gun violence in this country, and the Senate and the House are taking no action, none whatsoever. We have two simple bills we have asked to be put on the floor for a vote. One, if you're on the no-fly list, if you're a terrorist and on the no-fly list, or you're too dangerous to fly, you're too dangerous to have a gun. You're too dangerous to our communities, to our families who go to a theater or go to a restaurant or a nightclub or go to church or go to a shopping center. they're too dangerous to have the gun. Secondly, we need to have an enhanced oversight of who buys guns. The NRA says that guns don't kill people, people kill people. Well, if that's the case, we need to make sure the wrong people don't get guns. It's a people check, not a gun check. It's a people check. Who is going to buy weapons that can hurt people and kill a lot of people very rapidly? This was not about fundraising, and Paul Ryan knows this. This was about principle. This was about a deep commitment to making our country safer, to making our neighborhoods safer, and to making our people safer. 85 to 90% of the American people agrees with our position. Wouldn't you think if 85 or 90% of Americans want a piece of legislation on the floor to make their communities safer, that the leadership would put it on the floor? That's what we were saying. That's what we were asking for. Right. And we're going to continue to do that.
Congressman Steny Hoyer. Congressman, thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.
We'd like to get